Hey there YouTube, this is sjm4306 back with another mini disc repair video. This time we're taking a look at my MZ-RH10, which is a high-end high-MD mini disc recorder. And they're not cheap now, but almost all of them suffer from the exact same problem. And I fixed this one in the past by replacing the screen with a donor screen from another unit, and that gave me another maybe 3 years of life on it before that screen died as well. So the internal screen here is now completely dead. You can just about see it if the room is pitch black, but you really can't make out what it's trying to display. So it's basically useless. And so this really didn't have much of a use recently because it has no screen. I can use it with a remote, but a lot of the features are locked behind the menu on the unit itself. So I've been waiting, biding my time, and MD Gadgetry just released a drop-in replacement screen. It is a new OLED display. It's not pulled from an old unit or anything like that. And they designed a ribbon and a small chip to convert the signal over. So yeah, the new replacement screens are available from MD Gadgetry, and I'll link them down below here. The price as of me doing this repair is, I think it's about 100 euros, and that roughly equated to about $125 or $130 USD. So not cheap at all. However, these players are pretty sought after and they're absolutely stunning. This is a beautiful design, and I have very fond memories of using this guy when the original display worked. Now, the only unfortunate thing is the new displays are white, whereas the original display was blue. So it does look a little different, but I'll take that any day over having absolutely no display and being basically a brick. So yeah, in this video, we're going to take you through the installation process and show you roughly what your $130-ish gets you, and what kind of skill level you'll need in order to remove the old display and install the new one. So let's get to it. Okay, so yeah, there was a strip of adhesive that they used to stick the top side of the ribbon, the bottom side of the ribbon to the board. And so, yeah, a little bit of heat removed that pretty easily without damaging the ribbon. Like I said, that's probably not really a necessary step, but I just wanted to keep this kind of assembled and not totally destroyed. So what I'm probably going to end up doing is I'm just going to stick something in between so the adhesive does not reconnect. We are going to desolder this. I've seen people rip it off. You can totally do that. There's not too much issue as long as you're careful doing that you don't rip the pads off as well. But I'm going to try to desolder this cleanly. And just going to heat up my iron. We're going to use a little bit of liquid flux and add some leaded solder to this, and that should be fine. I'm just gonna put something underneath the ribbon cable on the side there so it doesn't bend, and just put a little bit of liquid flux there. Once my iron gets up to temp, and I need solder. All I'm doing right now is basically tinning all the pads with leaded solder because this is undoubtedly lead-free. That's on here. So that's harder to melt and it requires a higher temperature. So I'm just literally, it doesn't matter if you short multiple pads. We're going to clean this up with some solder braid in a sec. But yeah, that looks about good. Have like a decent amount on the tip here right now, and just gonna start at one side. And get it molten, and then apply a little upwards pressure so that we can start getting that ribbon out. Yeah, some of these fingers are probably gonna not survive. There we go. And yeah, some of the fingers did bend, unfortunately. And they're still on there. So actually, technically, this display would probably be usable, like resolderable. But the display is dead, so whatever. That's generally how you would remove a flat flex like that. But you have a bunch of solder left over now. So what I'm going to do is trim off a piece of solder braid, like so, and stretch it out a little bit. And grab one end and just start wicking the extra solder away. And yeah, you can see the solder is coming away. And just repeat till we can get all the extra solder out. Make sure your iron's hot enough, by the way. If it's not, you risk damaging the pads by lifting them. Yeah, and that looks pretty clean. So just give you guys a close-up now. Yeah, there's a little bridge there. So I'm just gonna... Yeah, there you go. So you can see it's just a bit dirty. Going to take some isopropyl alcohol and re-clean all that. But those pads are ready to solder the new ribbon onto, the new display, rather. So give me a sec to get set up for that. Okay, I'm going to guess this is double-sided tape. Yeah, I mean, it kind of looks like it. Let's see if we can peel the layer off. Yeah, it definitely is. So probably the best way to do this is to only tack one corner down, I bet you. Because you have to get the alignment right before you... It's interesting the way that they design this. It has cutouts for the components underneath that stick up. That's very smart. Yeah, but we are going to want to line this up just right for it to solder correctly. And yeah, I was going to try to do, there's little fingers that keep the alignment for the board. I was just going to try to do a corner and stick it down after the fact, but that's not going to work. It looks like I need to line everything up and then Stick it down. It is sort of self-aligning, so that is good. Now, it doesn't look like you can really very much misalign it. And just press down. Yeah, that's probably good enough. So then it's just a matter of soldering these contacts while pressing down on the ribbon. There is still a little bit of adhesive left over from the old display, so that's kind of holding things down as well. But this should just be a matter of adding some liquid flux. Oops. And going from one side to the other. While pressing down on the ribbon to keep it flat against the board. I'm just going to get a tiny little bit of solder on my tip of my iron. It should be more than enough. Probably don't want to use the tips for this. Probably want to press with the flat. So that looks fine. I'm going to inspect everything under a microscope afterwards to make sure that the solder actually took. Maybe I can zoom in. There you go. That's much better. I'm not adding too much solder to the tip because I don't want it to bridge across pins. I just want it to connect straight through. And that looks maybe good. We're going to inspect this under extreme magnification, but I think that's connected through. Probably just need to clean everything with some alcohol now. Get that liquid flux off there. Yeah, that mostly looks good. I'll probably end up needing to retin some of those connections, I bet you. Some of them, sometimes when you solder like a flat flex to a board contact that's underneath, there's a little gap between. Sometimes it'll look like the solder flowed, but it doesn't actually connect through the two kind of separate layers. But that looks pretty good. Yeah, there's a bit of the fluff from the Q-tip there, but yeah, that some of those, like that one looks like it didn't actually connect. Adding a little bit of solder sometimes helps as well. So I'm just going to go through and without the camera in the way, double check all these solder joints. Okay, we are at my microscope. We can see we're checking for bridges as well as to see that the solder actually flowed down and onto the pad. So far this all looks good. Good. That one, see, this was kind of hard to do because it's just one pin. Well, in a way it's easier because there's nothing around it, but also you have to make sure you press the ribbon as flat as you can against the board. Otherwise the solder isn't going to want to go down really and just flow in there. And these two, yeah, that looks pretty good. So overall, these are probably all flowed. They look pretty good. I cleaned everything with alcohol. So I think we're good to go. Let's plug this in and power it up and test it. Okay, I am back. I had to resolder the ribbon a couple times, and there's a couple important things I think that we should note. It does work now. It did not work immediately because of what I'll tell you in a sec, but geez, things sticking to my arms. Let's just demo it turning on. There you go. The screen comes on. I still have the protective film on. Yeah, and yeah, it works. It looks sort of blue on camera, but it's definitely a crisp white to my eye. So that's good enough for now. I'm just gonna disconnect this battery so I can wrap this up. I did not redo the tape over this just yet. But basically what ended up happening is the bottom of the ribbon, the pads continue onto the bottom side. So solder can wick. If you add a little bit too much solder, it'll wick underneath between the ribbon and the PCB, and it could short pads. And I had several shorts along mostly this stretch here where there are pins right next to each other. And that prevented the display from working because it was shorting a couple pins together. So the way I fixed that was I took a spudger tool and pretend that this is my soldering iron. I pressed down on the ribbon and then ran the iron, kind of squeezing very lightly, obviously, from the top of the ribbon all the way down to get extra solder to pull down to this bottom part of the pad on the board. And that, by pressing kind of from the top while I'm doing that, I was able to get the extra solder that was shorting between pads underneath the ribbon to come out to the front so they were no longer shorting. And it was important also, before I tested, to take a multimeter and go kind of one by one and in between pads that were next to each other to make sure that that short was gone. Luckily, I did test it while it was shorted, and it didn't work, obviously, but luckily it didn't cause any permanent damage either. But it probably would not have been good to leave it on while the pads were shorted. So I just did quick tests, and then if it didn't work, then I redid it again, and I was able to finally get it. You can see there, I had to clean this up with a little bit of alcohol, but yeah, you can see I got all the pads soldered and it does work. So I'm just gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna reassemble this and we'll be good to go. I'm probably gonna replace the bottom of the shell with this black one because the silver one was apparently starting to crack. The plastic was, it's pretty old. I think these were released sometime in like 2006-ish. So yeah, the plastics are getting brittle, so I'm just going to replace it with the black plastic I have here that's in better shape. But yeah, I'm just going to button this all up, and then we'll do a final test with everything inserted and whatnot. So I'll be back in a sec. Okay, I'm back. We're all back together. I switched the back case because this one is not cracking yet. Yeah, this one, I mean, it looks nice, the silver. This came with, obviously, the silver front model, which I have upstairs. But, yeah, the plastic is getting a bit brittle. This, interestingly enough, is a EU model. Whereas this one is not a Japanese because it doesn't have the little slot for the dock. And, yeah, FCC, so it's a US model. This back came from originally. And so, yeah, we have a disc in here. I'm just going to insert this, turn it on. And yeah, it looks kind of blue on the screen and slightly flickery. It does not look flickery to my eyes. and it looks a pure white, basically. I can shut off the overhead lights. There you go. And, yeah, I mean, it works. What can I say? It looks a little brighter on camera than in real life to my eyes. But, yeah, there you go. Yeah, you can see it all works. I can actually use it now. And, yeah, so there you go. Just start playing a disc, and it's working. Yeah, there you go. I have no idea what's on this disc. There's something on here. But yeah, it is playing. It is working. It looks fantastic. This would look really cool on one of the other models, like the silver, or I have an orange one. It would probably look really cool. I kind of want to try putting a filter on here, like a gel filter, to change the color of this to like green or blue, or maybe even red, to see how it looks. Now, I will say, it doesn't seem to fit exactly like the old display. The old display is, you know, a bit larger than this, so there are little gaps around the sides, which if you tilt it, you can definitely notice it, but this is good enough for me, honestly. And the fact that I can continue using this now, I'm pretty happy with that. And yeah, there you go. So it is possible to revive your MZ-RH10s or MZ-M100s, which they're the same model, just the M100 is Mac compatible, whereas the RH10 is only Windows compatible. But that was really the only thing back in the day. I'm pretty sure everyone just uses like WebMD or Platinum MD or whatever to burn discs anyway. No one wants to use Sonic Stage in this day and age. But yeah, overall, I would say this kit. If you're not very well experienced in soldering, I honestly would not really recommend this kit trying to install it yourself. I would probably suggest paying a professional to do it. And I'm not just saying that because, you know, I want to make more money or whatever, installing these for other people. But realistically, I had trouble with this. I have close to like 15 years of soldering experience. I've been professionally soldering for the last about 7 or 8 years, and I have actual professional grade equipment at my disposal, and it gave me a little bit of trouble. So the chances of it giving someone who has none of that experience or equipment at, you know, available to them, so it's much more likely to encounter like shorts, bridges, that kind of stuff underneath the flex that really is difficult to fix if you don't have like the proper experience and equipment, unfortunately. So yeah, overall, I think this kit is awesome. I would like to see them provide a blue OLED in the future, and I'll shoot them an email. I mean, they may or may not be interested. It depends on how many units they can order. I believe the site that I found, the seller that I found that would offer blue displays requires like a minimum order quantity of like 5 or 10,000. So that might not be practical for MD Gadgetry to buy that many displays. I don't know how many of these are going to sell, but it might be worth, if they're not aware that there is a manufacturer that can make blue displays, maybe they might be interested. I might try to shoot that manufacturer an email and see if I could order like a sample of that display, and then I could desolder this one and put the blue one in myself. I might try that, see maybe if they would either send me a sample for free or if I could pay for one, because I actually technically do have my own business, so I might be able to have a slightly better chance cold calling them and telling them that I'm interested in working on a project with this new blue display. But yeah, the white display doesn't look bad. Not horrible. I would definitely have preferred if it were blue, because it would look more like a stock RH10. But I mean, at least this is usable, and it does look sharp, I will say. I'm very happy with this. So yeah, in general, kind of difficult to install, but if you have some experience and the proper equipment, proper size soldering iron tip, desoldering braid, etc., liquid flux definitely, then you can get this done. It took me about an hour-ish, and that was half of that was like me faffing around with getting it open. Because it's been a while since I've opened one of these. But yeah, it's totally doable. As for value, like I said, this was like $130. That's kind of a lot, but I definitely understand. These are like $500-ish players now. So I definitely understand this is a niche. And right now, MD Gadgetry isn't selling a lot of these. So they're making them in pretty small batches. I've been there. I understand that per unit cost for small number of devices manufactured is going to cost you a lot. So until people start getting on board and buying these in larger quantities, the price is gonna be pretty expensive. But yeah, I'm happy to finally have this guy up and running. That is really, really cool. And it is beautiful. I'm gonna listen to this for the rest of the day, run this through, and yeah, oh man, this is awesome. I'm super happy. Anywho, once again, huge thanks to MD Gadgetry for making a drop-in replacement for the RH10 series of high-end mini disc recorders. Yeah, it's just awesome. I never thought I'd see the day. I have 3 other units of these, and I would love to upgrade those as well. But yeah, I might see if I can make my own. I'm kind of interested to see if I can like DIY my own solution. Not just because of cost. Definitely that would be a big factor, but because I have so many of these, I can't throw another $300 at more display ribbons to get all of mine up and running. But I would love to get them running. Anywho, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you are interested, I will have links down below in the description where you could get your own. If you want me to install yours, I'd be more than happy to. Shoot me an email at sjm4306 at gmail.com if you'd like to do so. And yeah, anywho, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.